What's up, guys? Welcome back to Feast or Famine with the Youngs.
We are the Youngs.
We are still in the same clothes because guess why?
It's recording day.
Whoop, whoop. And
this is the first actual full recording day that we've had.
Well, and since we are at home, your girl is, I'm not trying to front. Listen, I'm in my home. I'm going to stay in the clothes that I'm in. I already have a shit ton of laundry. I'm not going to make more. So this is what you get.
Okay. Fair. She said she's going to be in blanket. In blanket.
Wrapped
in a blanket.
Veronica in a blanket.
Winter hits.
Jeez.
And it probably will be because
I will be.
We'll make sure the heat's not on and
with a blanket and like a cup of coffee or hot cocoa or something. We're going to cozy it up.
Should we put that little light on like fireplace mode? There's a setting that makes it look like flames.
Yeah, maybe we won't have like really bright lights in front of us.
We will need some lights because
we'll have it like moody.
I have those aperture lights that have fire pit setting also.
We'll add soft crackly noises in the background.
Like it looks like you're sitting at a fireplace.
Okay, well we might have to do that. Add
Campfire.
The vibes.
Maybe, you know how we did the Christmas?
Or, oh my God. Okay, what if we did one in front of the fireplace for our Christmas one, and I know this gives you the ick,
Put
but
the stockings and stuff up behind us?
They'll be up. What I'm saying is, I know that this gives you the ick when you see podcasts on like TikTok and stuff where they're holding the microphone and they're like sitting in bed or something, but like
it's fine.
But we could do that and sit in front of the fireplace, and it would be so fun. Yeah?
Maybe.
We're gonna do it.
But we should do what we just talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Not that, but like the fire, like for fall, and do like a Halloween episode, like we did the Christmas episode last year.
Yeah.
We do a Halloween week episode.
I don't know.
Something completely.
Like what would we talk about?
I don't know. Horror movies.
I can't talk about that.
I don't know.
Okay.
Crystalia.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Every single one.
I don't
know.
No, Brooklyn Nine-Nine is what you said would be every single one.
Well, it's either that or Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
The first one today was both.
Quit tapping your feet. Driving me insane. Stop. Because Alex is a drummer. Okay, when we first started dating, that was like one of the things that just would irritate the shit out of me about you when we first started dating was that you like...
Don't stop moving.
It's like, that's him on
you know
everything.
How annoying that would be to people that just listen.
I'm so sorry.
I might mute that.
I'm sorry. He would tap on everything. Like, tap on everything and then, like, stop his foot, like, move his foot around. I got used to it now, but
I have
sometimes...
ADD.
But sometimes
it's an ADD
you
thing.
do it still, and I'm like, quit it.
It's an ADD thing, I think.
Quit it.
I can't help it. It is part of my DNA.
You're moving the whole couch.
No, your foot is touching my leg.
Okay.
Which is attached to my other leg. So when I shake, you feel it and think I'm moving the whole couch, but I'm not. I'm just touching your leg.
Well, my foot was there first, so get over it. Marriage. Okay. What are we talking about today?
I don't know.
Come on.
Business and weddings and food. Because, feast or famine is a food thing, right? Is it ironic that we called it feast or famine because we're foodies and that kind of works?
We've talked about why we call it feast or famine before.
Yeah, I know. A couple times. Remember the first thing Mark said on this podcast was like, why do you call it feast or famine? Mm-hmm. I'm like, oh, geez, just like asking us questions.
Asking all them questions.
Usually we ask you questions.
Making statements. Assuming? Okay.
But you have to ask all them questions.
I want to do that TikTok. I've told you about.
Questions.
That's not a cute face. Yes, it is a cute face. I'm just kidding. Okay. I want to do that TikTok trend where, I told you about it. Like
The bottle swinging from the ceiling?
No, but we laid in bed last night cracking up about that. No, like I write down like the word or phrase or whatever I'm looking for you to say. I write it down and then I prompt you on what I'm looking for. So like, for example, would be, okay, plug your ears so I can tell them what the answer is so you don't hear it. The answer is big So, for example, when Oliver comes home from the groomer, what is the first thing that we say?
What's up, big haircut?
What's up, big haircut? Yeah.
So and we just said we're going to call Ari Little Haircut now.
Little Haircut. You are no longer...
Big Tuna.
You are...
Big Haircut.
That's correct. Ding, 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 ding.
So that's a trend?
Yeah. So, like, we would come up with, like, certain things like that for each other, and we would have to, like, answer it.
I feel like the
we
pressure...
have a lot of those.
I feel like the pressure to perform would make it a disaster.
You think that you wouldn't do well?
I think... It happens.
Let's test that theory. I have one more.
I think it happens very organically in our relationship anyway. Mm-hmm. And the second we try to like produce it, it's not going to work.
Let's test it. I have another one. No.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to stick my fingers in my ears.
Yeah, because they're gross.
The answer is Grope Zoo is closed.
Okay. I really hope that they can hear me like whispering.
I saw meters.
Okay. When you're like touchy-feely and I'm
touchy-feely
and I'm not into it, what do I say to you?
Grope Zoo's closed.
Grope Zoo is closed. That's correct.
Is that what this episode is? Is just those?
We should do it. It's fun.
Well, we have to have like headphones so we can blast music like they do on the Riz show so we can't hear it.
Yeah. Actually that is like how they do it on the trend, but see, we have ones that are
Or you just write it on a board and you hide it and then you show it.
Well, that's what, like, I would write down the answer. You would have the headphones on. That's how you do it.
If you're writing the answer down, why do I need headphones on? You're not saying it. You're just writing it.
Oh, you're right. No, they say it to the camera. You're right. My bad.
My ears don't have eyes in them.
You're right. I forgot. What's another one?
I don't know. What are we talking about today?
I don't know. I want to do one. Come up with one for me.
I want to talk about the podcast.
No,
episode. I don't know.
Lame.
See, I can't think of any because it's like...
We would have to like think about it and plan them and write them
organically.
down. But we have like a lot that we say.
Yeah.
You don't have any?
No,
Oh, come on.
I don't know. I can't think of one.
All right, whatever.
I can't think of one.
All right. Lame-o.
You already had that in your head and you had the ideas in your head.
Well, yeah. Okay. Well,
it's like at trivia when you know the answer to something, but as soon as it's trivia time,
you know nothing.
Cannot think of the answer.
That is so true.
Like when
it's the pressure. That's why I can never play. What's the Ellen DeGeneres game? Heads Up?
No, it's
Yeah, it's Heads Up.
Oh,
where like you have the phone on your head. I suck so hard at that game because you only have a certain amount of time to answer the question, and I do not do well under pressure like that. And so everything that is in my brain is leaking. Like I don't know anything. If you were like, what color is the sky? I'd be like, purple. I don't know. Like
oh, so like at trivia on the music rounds, it's like there'll be a song that we know what the song is.
Oh yeah.
But we can't think of the artist because you get a point for the artist too. But then I'm like, okay, it was this genre and it's this generation, this era, and then all of a sudden I can't think of any bands
or any artists
in that category of
and
genre
we know a
and
lot
era.
of music. Yeah.
Just all of a sudden I can't think of any.
Yeah, it's the worst. It's the pressure. So if we were going to do that game, which I think that we should, we would just have to pre-plan and write them down on our own.
Pre-approved.
Pre-plan. Pre-prepared.
Prepared.
I know,
wow,
I got there.
You failed big time.
I told you I don't do well under pressure.
And that was my turn.
That's The Office too.
That was my turn.
I suck, guys. I suck.
Because you say that pre-prepared.
I know. What about when we're telling someone to hurry up? What do we say?
When we tell somebody to hurry up?
Like, not hurry up, but like when it has to be done, like now.
ASAP as possible.
Yeah.
Most of ours are just like quotes from movies or shows or stand-up skits.
Yeah.
Basically all of them.
Not Grope Zoo. Do you know what that's from?
That's from Jenna Marbles.
Yeah.
Which is technically...
It's YouTube.
TV because it's on YouTube.
But I've been saying that for years.
I know.
Yeah.
What are we talking about today?
I don't know. Okay.
This is the second one in a row that's just been complete and utter nonsense
I'm sorry,
for like
guys.
10 minutes before we actually talk about what we're doing.
I'm sorry. I was just like, I had a moment where I was just thinking about like watching all of that when I was just like looking at you and I was like, wow, you're really cute for a second. I don't know.
I'm only cute for a second.
That was weird. Okay.
We're
Anyway.
talking about...
Today we're talking about a real issue. I feel like we've kind of talked about this a little bit.
We've mentioned it.
Yeah, before.
It's never been a topic, though.
We're going to dive into it today, though, and we got some comments from Threads to add into, and I think that will be cool.
Well, I asked the question on Threads.
Yeah. So we have some good input from you guys.
A lot of the comments were on the same line, which is why I'm like, we definitely need to talk about this. Because...
Yeah. So the topic of discussion today is balancing creativity and business and what that means. What I wrote down is basically the synopsis is the challenge of maintaining a business while also striving to maintain creative passion.
So this is
behind
like,
your business.
Generally speaking, this is like for creative industry businesses, photographers, videographers,
you're
event designers.
Yeah. You're creative owning a business.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I mean, I'll start with what I got on Threads that kind of prompted this was...
Sure.
I asked the question, are you a business owner or creative first? And a lot of people, not only did they answer the question, but they actually went into it more, but a lot of them said they're a creative first, which is why their business isn't doing well, which is why they're not getting bookings, which is why just something negative in relation to their business as a whole.
And you know what I have to say to that?
What?
The first step is admitting the issue.
Right, and I appreciate that. That's why I had some conversations.
At least they know, like, because where we stand with it, we are business owners first.
You have to be.
You have to be.
But you
if you are passionate about running a business, and obviously your creative passion led you to start your business, but if you start your business and you realize that you're also passionate about keeping that business going, thriving, growing, then it becomes part of that process and you start to hopefully learn to love it, and it shifts your mindset to being a business owner first and a creative second. But it's hard when your business thrives on your creativity.
Yeah, when it basically like
it's a give and take.
Yeah, your business relies on your creativity.
Yeah. I think I said that. Did I not?
You didn't say relies. You used a different word. I don't know if the word came across to me properly. I'm not sure. I don't remember what you said.
Well, that's what I meant if I didn't say that. But yeah.
So, I mean, I think in general, I wanted to bring this conversation to a podcast episode because obviously the few people that interacted, the majority of them are admitting, they're creatives first. And we see that so much in the creative space. Someone even actually commented something about that like when I asked what they're doing to try to change that, they said they're hoping to find clients that are okay with allowing them the freedom to do what they want to do to be creative.
Interesting. Which there are clients
like
out
that,
there, yeah.
But I don't think that's going to help this person.
No. In a business sense?
In a business sense.
Yeah, no. I don't think so.
Because
unfortunately,
to find those clients means to get better at the business side.
Which is like marketing yourself in that fashion and things like that. Way. Yeah. Yeah.
At the end of the day, if this is how you make money, you have two choices. You either have to put business first or you have to work for somebody else.
Or you have to hire someone to do it for you to allow you the space to be creative.
I think in this industry, that's very hard to do.
Oh, for sure it's hard to do, but it's not
your
impossible.
Your bottom line is going to essentially go away.
Yeah, definitely.
Because, not go away, but it's going to be hard to match your bottom line if you hire somebody specifically to run the business.
Right.
But you also have to make money for yourself. I mean...
Yeah. I mean,
it's not a feasible way to run a business in this industry.
I think for most people, and us included in this, when we start to see this being a real issue is when we are like burnt out, and like when we are like overloaded with work, like when you have so many wedding films due around the same time and your workload is overflowing, it's hard to be creative while also making sure deadlines are being done. You're keeping up with emails, you're keeping up with expenses and taxes and all of these things. There's just so many responsibilities that unfortunately just have to be put first sometimes. And then you have to like be creative for your clients and perform and do well. And at least in my opinion, it's not something that can be forced. Like, and if it is forced, it's not probably your best work.
Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned burnout because I actually saw something recently that might have been an Andy Frisella thing. I'm not sure. The idea that burnout is something that people use as an excuse, but if you truly want to succeed, you have to do it anyway.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna be exhausted. You're gonna be fighting fires 90% of the time.
Yeah.
You're gonna be tired of doing what you're doing.
And that's the thing. When you're feeling that way, chances are you're not going to be feeling creative.
Yeah, but you have to do it anyway because there's, on the creative side, you'll say, I'm sitting down at this edit. I'm not feeling this. I'm not feeling it. I'm going to set it aside until I'm feeling creative. And then you're 6 months past your deadline. You haven't delivered a film yet. And we've seen, you do a search at any point in time on social media, and there's some story either on Reddit or Facebook or whatever about a photographer or videographer that still hasn't delivered this person's wedding film or their gallery, and it's been an excessive amount of time, or that they haven't followed through with what they're supposed to do, and they're making all these excuses.
Right.
It's all over the place.
Yeah.
So leaning on just being creative is not the answer.
Right.
You have to have the business sense of, I have to have deadlines because I can't just say, I'll get to it when I get to it, when I'm feeling creative.
So what's like a good alternative when you're in that position and you're like, this film is due like tomorrow, and if I start this, like it's gonna, like I'm gonna have to like shit this out, for a lack of better terms. But like you don't want to do that because you want to deliver the best you can for your client.
My first question would be, why are you just not starting if it's due tomorrow?
Okay, tomorrow, whatever. It's due in a week. Like, what is your advice on that?
And they haven't been creative about it, so they haven't really gotten anywhere on it. Okay, just do it. You got to get out of your head about the fact that, I think creatives struggle with the fact that they think everything needs to be better than the last thing they did.
Yeah.
And they should always be pushing creative boundaries, and they need to better themselves, and everything needs to be all this a masterpiece. But that's almost never the case. Maybe one in every 10 is like it in general. So
like setting yourself back to like realistic expectations. Not everything's
like
gonna be perfect.
A music artist will go into the studio with 30 to 40 songs written, potentially. Not all of those are going to make the record.
Unless you're Morgan Wallen.
Unless you're Morgan Wallen, you put out a 30 record album. I want to know how many he won.
And they're all perfect.
I want to know. They're not all perfect.
They are. Anyway.
But I want to know how many he went to the studio with in the first place.
Yeah.
To end up on a spot where he needs to put out that many songs in the first place.
I'm going to get so much heat on that. Come for me. It's fine.
But
I stand by it.
And in addition to that, they're not all going to make the album. But then even more so, they're not all going to be hits. They're not all going to be singles. Sometimes you just got to complete the song.
Yeah.
Or complete the film.
Yeah.
Your client is going to like the video.
Yeah.
If they hired you, they saw what your work looks like. And it was their wedding day, so whatever you do for it, they're going to like it.
Yeah.
And you need to get out of your head about this needs to be the best thing that you've ever done.
I think that's what the biggest thing is like when you're in a position like that, nobody's putting the pressure on. Except you. Granted, there might be like, if there's like an email, hey, when am I going to get my film? That kind of feels like a little bit of pressure. But like, if that's the worst, then like, it's literally you are the problem. Like you're putting the pressure on yourself.
But that also is where the business side comes in.
Yeah.
Because if they're reaching out and saying, hey, when am I going to get my film?
Mm-hmm.
The business side of you already has a contract that has that in it. And you can say, depending on how far out you are, you say, well, per contract, approximately 12 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
We're sitting at about the 8-week mark. I'm going to try to get it out in the next couple weeks, but I'll keep you updated when you get it.
Right.
But it could be as long as 12 weeks.
Yeah. I did write something down in regards to this topic. I wrote down, so like sometimes, at least for me, I don't know about for you, you can speak for yourself, but creativity for me, because I am a business owner first, creativity for me comes very sporadically, super random times.
I think that's for any
I don't
kind.
think
Any true
that-
creative is like that, I feel like.
I can't ever tell you when I've sat down and I'd be like,
Time to be creative.
time to be creative. Like, F that. It doesn't happen that way. So I wrote down, you have to like learn to recognize when.
Wait, you wrote down you have to learn?
No, I'm like reading like,
I was confused. I was like, when have you ever written like that?
no. I do it if I'm journaling, just because I let my thoughts like whatever.
You write it out exactly how you were thinking it.
Yep. Okay, so I said, learning to recognize when creativity is flowing and allow space for it to happen naturally. It can't be forced. I already mentioned it can't be forced. But when you're in, this is like the hard balance, I feel like we've had moments where we're doing business things and I get an idea. This happens to you more often than me. And you get an idea and you're feeling creative and you're feeling inspired, but we're literally doing a task. Like, it's hard to figure out, okay, do I finish this task or do I allow the space for the creativity to happen?
I think it depends on what you're doing.
Yeah.
Like, what task are you doing? Are you literally on a call with a couple?
Right. You can't just be like, oh, pause, wait, let me journal
Or
this. Yeah.
are you just responding to emails?
Yeah. My next thing to that is you, as a business owner and a creative, have to also just allow space in your life and your day-to-day and your routine for creativity. Meaning like yesterday, this wasn't necessarily a creative thing, but like I was looking at this gallery and I was like, I am feeling like everything's starting to look the same. I'm not editing right. And you were like, go sit outside because you know me well. And I needed
away from the computer.
space. I need to get away. And I went outside. I didn't get on my phone. I literally just like listened to the birds. I listened to the wind, people cutting their grass. I smelt it. Like I just let the environment just like soothe me, like bring me down, bring me back to earth. And then I went back and I felt re-energized. And I think moments like that and being intentional with doing things like that in your routine maybe can allow for that space and creativity to flow. You just have to find what works for you, basically.
It's like,
is it going for a walk? Is it journaling? Is it your routine morning cup of coffee? Like you just have to figure out what works for you to usher in creativity naturally.
it kind of comes down, I think, to like the similar idea of finding your flow state. It's a business concept of productivity.
That's a hard thing for us because we are very different with that.
So what your flow state is, for those that don't really know, is it's the peak time of your day that you get the most done and you're the most focused, and people have different flow state times.
Mine's a very challenging time because my flow state is like 9 a.m. Mine's from like 9 to 11. But the problem is with our routine, we go to the gym right in the morning. Also, the thing with the flow state for me is like, for whatever reason, I do my best work when I just get up, literally brush my teeth, have coffee, go sit down at my desk, and I immediately start working. Like, that's weird. I recognize that that's weird. I'm sorry. But like, I never almost ever have a flow state because our routine is we get up and we go to the gym and we do all these things in the morning and then I sit down and I edit. So I either surpassed my flow state and it's just never going to happen, or I have to sacrifice something in my daily routine to have it, which is something, which is something that you just don't understand. Like, because your flow state is from, let me guess, it is from like 12 to 3.
Or later sometimes. Sometimes it's at like 5.
But you won't get in your flow state if anything disrupts it. Before, middle, or end. Well, end is fine, but before or middle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
that's because the creative side of me is always just like random crap. So
And-
I'll get distracted by it and write, because I want to write something down so I don't forget it.
and with our routine, again, going to the gym every day, if you don't go to the gym, chances are you won't even get your flow state. But the problem is that if we go to the gym, I don't get mine.
Just got to get up earlier.
So it's like hard.
We got to go at like 6 a.m.
No, because my process is I
Right, we
literally
go
just go to work.
Go at 6 a.m.
And you know why that is?
We get there at 6 a.m. We get home about 7:30. Then you can nap for about an hour.
Do you know why that is?
Why is
Because
that?
I worked corporate.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
And you used
that's why.
And you went in an hour early so you get it off an hour late so you could work on your business.
Right. Like,
Or sorry, you went in an hour early so you get it in, so you could either A, take Friday off,
Mm-hmm.
or to get home an hour early.
but at that time I had to force myself to work when I would get home.
Well, force yourself. You forced it, so force it again.
The point of a flow state is it to not be forced. It's a natural part of when you're doing your best work.
I think you can naturally change your flow state. I believe that you can
I've
train
been working
yourself.
on it for 6 years.
How intentional have you been about actually trying to change the flow state that you? Because I feel like if you're intentional enough about it, you can put yourself in a position that your body is getting accustomed to it, and therefore creating that flow state for you. Because you, let's say, every single day between 10 a.m. and noon, you shut the door, you turn your internet off, you turn off all distractions, and you set a timer. And you say, I'm not going to stop working for 30 minutes. You start working. Then at 30 minutes, you take a 5-minute break, and then do it again for another 30 minutes.
Have you done that?
No. Just because I haven't done it, though, doesn't mean there's not good in theory.
I mean, it's a good test, but
And I think doing that long enough
I think I've recognized my behaviors, like to know when my flow state is, you know?
Well,
Like,
yeah, I know. That's not what I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I think a person who has a flow state that is in an inopportune time for their schedule
yeah.
can recalibrate themselves to make their body and their mind and create a different flow state that's more convenient for what they need
Yeah.
by doing it like that, by forcing it for a while, and then your body becomes accustomed to it. It's like if you're in bed and you wake up to go to the bathroom one morning at like 3 a.m.
You start to do it all the time.
and then you do it a second day in a row,
Yeah.
all of a sudden your body is just ready to go to the bathroom at 3 a.m. every day,
Yeah.
and it's annoying as shit.
Oh, triggered.
I hate when that happens.
Yeah, it does suck.
But like, it's the same idea. And the same
Yeah.
thing with like when you go to bed and you wake up at a certain time every day, your body's going to end up waking up at that time regardless of how much sleep you got.
You do know that I obviously love our business and I love you. So
Why is there a butt coming?
I let you take control of, I allow you to have your flow state and just let mine go, because the honest truth is that yours is far more important than mine is.
Why? Why is that?
You know why.
I don't know why would mine be more important.
Because my roles in our job are to do client meetings and client communication, manage inquiries, and chat with planners and vendors and things like that. You come in on certain meetings with that. And I do some social media, you do some social media, and then I edit. And editing photos does take creativity, but it definitely, and I don't think that there's anybody out there that can argue with me about this, it is not the same creative output that you have to do as a wedding filmmaker. Your creativity and your flow state, I will stand by this to the day that I die, is far more important than mine. So I compromise mine for yours because you have to be able to do your job well to make our clients happy.
So do you.
I know, but mine is not as hard and not as daunting and doesn't need as much as what yours does.
So are you saying it is entirely possible that you could
I've just accepted
intentionally change your flow state?
No, I've accepted the fact that I just don't get one. Also, we are a husband and wife team. Most, I'm not going to say most, but there are a lot of photographers and videographers out there that don't have to adjust their flow state or the way that they work or anything like that because they don't have a partner that they work with every single day. We do. So we've had to work on those challenges and figure that out, like what works best for us. And this is what works best for us.
But see, mine isn't always the same. Mine literally changes depending on the day.
And we adjust according to that because, again,
sometimes
I prioritize your flow state over mine.
Sometimes I can be down here until 10 o'clock.
I need to adjust, sorry.
Because that's when I'm in my flow state.
And that's fine.
And I'm talking about creative flow state, not just flow state.
Yeah, and that's fine. And we adjust to make sure that you can get that. Well, other than, like, the flow state with the creative aspect, you look like you have something from Threads.
I mean, I have a lot of stuff from Threads.
What are people saying?
I mean, most of them said that they're creative first, and it's...
Did anybody say that they're business first?
Kind of. He said hard not to be both, is what somebody said, which is true. You have to be both in this industry, in a creative industry. Somebody said it depends on the project. If I'm directing, executing work for hire, I'm a creative first. If I'm producing, I'm a business owner first. In our second shooter episode, we talked about this, and that as a contractor or a second shooter or whatever, you don't have to deal with all the business side of stuff. You just go in, you shoot, you go home.
Yeah.
Which is 100% your creativity. You get to go in, you can get to be creative, and you get to go home. And you said in the car, when we talked about this, that if somebody is feeling like they are like they're so focused on their business that they're losing their creativity, they need to reach out to some people and pick up some second shooter dates. Because
or just plan like a shoot or something.
Or plan a shoot.
Yeah.
That you can kind of have control over what you're getting. And fill your cup, because you need to have that cup filled still anyway.
Yeah.
But then as the person that is getting the project, or like it's your project that you're producing, it's your wedding that your business is covering, that you're a business owner first.
Right.
You're a business owner up until the point that you're actually shooting that wedding. And then you're a business owner and a creative.
Yeah, you're wearing two hats. Yeah.
But you have to make sure you're still creative while you are running the business side of it as the lead on that day.
Yeah.
So literally anybody that goes into this industry and says, I'm just a creative, period, they're going to fail.
You gave me, well, first, before we get to that, when we are like, how do I say this? When we are asked advice on this topic, we are very open with the fact that we believe that not everybody who is a creative should be a business owner.
100%.
And that is a hard thing to accept. Like if you've already started your business and you're a photographer or a videographer and you're realizing, wow, I kind of suck at the business side of things, that is a hard thing to accept. And you have to figure out like what the best route is for you and where you need to go next, because of the statistic that you gave me earlier today, which is the failure rate.
Oh, that was about a different topic though.
But it goes with this.
Yeah, the average wedding industry vendor is about 5 to 6 years in business.
And I think that
before they're done.
I can't speak to why for certain that is, but I think that
I think a lot of
it is because they just aren't business-minded people.
I think a lot of them get burnt out.
Because they're not business-minded people. They're
probably part of it, but also the wedding industry is a very grueling industry.
Well, yeah, 100%.
It's not easy to do the job.
Yeah.
But that was about a different topic.
Yeah.
That we'll talk about a different time.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's, kind of true. A couple people did say business first, and both of them said the same basic thing that I'm looking at right now. One said you have to sustain income first. Bills aren't going to pay themselves. And this person said, I don't believe in the starving artist nonsense.
Explain that a little bit.
Business first, because I don't believe in the starving artist nonsense. The whole idea of a starving artist, I'm sure you've heard that term. Mm-hmm. Starving artist, it means they're an artist, so they're not making any money.
Okay.
Because art doesn't make money, historically speaking, is like what they're, unless you're like the best.
Okay.
Most artists are starving artists. I'm a starving artist. And a lot of creatives and artists in that way lean into that.
As an
because
excuse.
It makes their art better or something.
Or it's just an excuse.
Or it's an excuse that they don't know how to run a business. But at the end of the day, what both of these people are saying is you have to come at it. If you want to do this for a living, you have to make a living.
Yeah.
First. With it.
Yeah, which means you have to know how to market yourself. You have to know how to network. You have to know how to brand yourself. There's a lot.
And I think, actually, this popped in my head just now, I think that actually this concept is what triggers people that are like, well, they'll see a wedding film or they'll see photos and say, well, how are they getting these top dollar weddings and they're not even that great? I could do better than that.
Yeah.
First of all, that's a different topic. You probably can't because you've probably never done a wedding like that before. Mm-hmm. Also, they're business owners.
Right.
They know how to play the game. They know how to market. They know how to network. Mm-hmm. They know how to get the weddings.
Yeah.
So they can be good, but not necessarily the greatest. Mm-hmm. You might be a better photographer than them, but they got the wedding.
Right.
They made the money.
Yeah.
And that's the point. That's where you want to be. You want to make the money to make an income.
Yeah.
And be successful that way. You can still be great. You can still be creative.
Well, and I think part of that is like what we were talking about with like allowing space for creativity to come naturally. If you are a business first person and creative second, mm-hmm. and you know that you have to be intentional with allowing creativity to come, I feel like that also means outsourcing things that you no longer want or can control or take care of.
Or something that takes the time away from the things that you should be doing.
And I think a lot of creative people have a hard time letting go of things because they're controlling.
Like editing.
And
I think that's the biggest thing.
And I'm only speaking for myself here and from what I've experienced with like our friends and things like that who mm-hmm. are in the same industry as us. We are artists. We are creative. And so we are very controlling and we're very protective over what we're creating. We're very protective over what we've built, our business, and everything that encompasses that. So letting go of things is really freaking hard sometimes. Mm-hmm. But when you are growing a business, you have to, in order to keep going and keep growing, you have to let things go because you will ultimately just like dry up because you have so many responsibilities that only you can handle and you have no time for even allowing the thought of creativity to creep in. So you have to let things go, hire people to handle things for you, and that will inevitably open up time on your calendar and allow space for you to do why you started everything in the first place, which is to be creative and create art, whatever that looks like for you.
Yeah. The editing thing, like we just talked about, like if that's something that you can get a lot of your time, it's an ROI thing.
Yeah.
Like you being creative and thinking outside the box is only going to happen when you're not doing the mundane tasks for your business or the things that take the most amount of time from you mm-hmm. in your business. And editing is probably one of those things. So like
it's definitely one of those things.
There are people out there whose sole job is editing. And their sole job is to edit for other businesses. So they are responsible for taking your style and editing as if you're the one editing it. You're essentially teaching them by showing them how you edit.
And you know what?
And then they do it, and then you get to look at it and say, okay, this is good. Okay, this isn't good. And you are still in creative control. You just didn't have to put the hours in.
Yeah. I mean, part of that is like, obviously you have to train the person. They have to know, like, they have to know all the things. If I had that person, if I had the time, I would 100% do that. I have tried alternatives that just haven't worked for me. They work for other people, and that's great. But if I had the option to have a human, like, assistant that edits for me, that I've trained, that would be amazing. But I don't. So
Right.
if you're looking for a job,
But it doesn't even, it's not even just the editing side. Because, I mean,
Yeah.
I just say that because that's probably one of the most time-consuming things
yeah.
in this industry that we do. But there's even that has such a pivotal role to play in you being creative is achievable in your style, in your branding.
Oh, yeah.
And if it's one of those things that, like, hey, this wedding is taking away from my creativity because it's just a regular wedding, not every wedding is going to be the best thing you've ever done. If you want to allocate your creative resources and time to really push the envelope creatively, then outsource those other ones.
Yeah.
Find the right person and then do it,
Right.
because you also don't want your business to suffer by hiring the wrong person.
Right. Because like you said, from our perspective, not every piece of work that we put out is going to be a masterpiece.
And
However, it does need to be amazing for our client.
yes,
But their perspective and our perspective is not necessarily going to always align. And that's okay.
yeah.
As long as they are happy, like, that's fine.
Honestly, our perspective is usually higher expectations than even the client's is.
Yeah.
But
Because
even-
naturally, as artists, we put a lot of pressure on ourselves.
But even outside of that, things just on a regular basis that you can do to buy back your time.
Yeah.
I don't cut our grass. I don't do our landscaping, most of it.
We also have a house cleaner.
We have somebody that comes and cleans the house once a month just to keep it tidy so we don't have to spend hours cleaning it and keeping, like, it makes our lives easier, gives us time back so that we can focus that energy on the business
Yeah. And things that
and things that matter,
Help.
or
continue our livelihood.
yeah, on the business that we can make more money, or so we can channel some more creativity somehow.
Right.
It's a twofold thing, but it's a business versus creative, but I don't think it's one or the other. It's both.
Yeah.
Even corporate business, you have to have an element of creativity.
Definitely.
Granted, part of the outsourcing thing with those companies is they hire creatives,
Yeah.
and that's their job,
Right.
which is why I say if you don't have any interest in leaning into the business side of it, find a business that exists
Yeah.
that you can literally be their creative brain,
That's good.
because
like
there's a
that.
lot of them out there.
Yeah.
Because those
I think
people are
the
business owners
caveat-
first and business owners only.
I think the caveat to that is that, especially for like a photographer, they enjoy the freedom of running their own business. And so they don't want to let that go because then they're working for somebody else.
I have a hot take.
What?
You don't get that freedom from running your own business until you've built a successful business.
I mean, for sure.
How many years did we spend working full-time jobs and building the business?
Yeah.
And there was zero freedom.
Right.
How many years did we spend
But that's
hustling
but that goes back
when
to
it was just our business,
Right.
and we had no freedom?
But that goes back to your statistic, which is why most of them fail. Because when we started, we also knew that we were business-minded people before we even started. We just also happened to be creatives. And so we knew that we were going to hustle because we had a goal that we were determined to reach. And we were prepared, and we prepared ourselves and our minds to not have that. But not everybody's built that way. And that's hard.
And you just have to know what you are. And if you're creative and you know that is what is affecting your business, it's time to take some business courses, or there's a lot of business education. Make sure you vet them.
That's the good thing. Like, that is the good thing.
Like, there's a lot of business education for creatives.
I was going to say, this is a whole different topic that you want to touch on, about learning creativity, but also, like, the good thing about what we're talking about is if you are a creative first and you are just like, you have creativity like seeping from your pores, first off, bottle that shit and sell it. Second off, you can learn business. Like,
easily.
So easy. Like, there's so much education out there. There's so much free education. Obviously, there's really good like workshops and education that you can pay for. But there's also specifically a ton of business first education for creatives. Yeah. So if you are one of those people and you recognize that you're maybe not the best business owner, like, we're not saying quit. Actually, don't quit. Keep going. But it's good that you recognize that. I was gonna say, get help. Like, get help. I mean, that was like so aggressive. Yeah, that's not what I mean. Just take the time to educate yourself so you can grow your business and continue to do what you love. Like, that is the good thing about being creatives first. I know that, like, I think maybe our tone of voice over this podcast is like, I don't know if it's kind of negative with having a creative first mindset. Reality can be taken negative. It doesn't have. I don't think that that's necessarily our intention. I think that there's a give and take with it. But the good thing is that if you are a creative first and you aren't great at the business side of things, there's like so many resources. Like, you're gonna be fine if you put the time and the effort into it. So I mean, I think it's all good, you know. And if you feel like you are great at business. But maybe you are struggling to continue to grow because that's honestly the creativity. That's the harder side of things, I think. That is harder, but I mean, some people think creativity is a natural given, like a natural thing, like you just have it or you don't. There's ways to learn creativity. Like, you can teach creativity, but we'll dive into that on a different episode because I feel like it's going to be a long one. Yeah. Anything else? No. Not really. Hopefully this was helpful. Hopefully. I don't know. I kind of forgot everything that we just talked about. Creativity versus business owner. Yeah. That time went by really quickly, so I guess that's a good sign. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Let us know your guys' thoughts. I'm losing steam for sure because we have been podcasting all day. So I think this is the end of the road for me for today. She needs to get back into her 6 podcasts a day routine. Yeah, I don't know. We used to do that. I'm just like getting older and I don't know if I got the energy, bro. That's why we do it here now. We don't have to set up at home. We don't have to go to the studio. I've fully set up because that's like an hour on both ends. Maybe an hour at the beginning and a half hour at the end that we have to get there early and stay later. You know, some days I feel like I age like a dog, and then other days 7 a year. Yeah, and then other days I feel like I'm like 22 and thriving. I think it's called being a human being. Like, it's literally, I mean, I think it's because I'm a business owner. Sometimes I just like, I feel like I've aged like mentally, and my mind is going and my energy, and like, I don't know. I've talked a lot today, and like, I don't know if I can talk anymore for the next 2 days. Like, I'm tapped, bro. I'm tapped. And then some days I'm like, wilding out. I don't know. Well, anyway. On that note, I gotta go. If you have any kind of input on what we talked about, creativity versus business owners, YouTube, let's start a conversation on YouTube, or go find the thread post that I made a long time ago.
Maybe I'll post it before we post this episode so that it's easier to find. I'll repost it. Let's have a conversation about it. If you need tips and advice on focusing more on one side or the other that maybe you're struggling with, reach out. We'd love to help you because we do offer mentorships, but we also like to talk and help people in general.
On that note, also reach out to your community. That's why there's Facebook groups. That's why there's people hopefully that you can find that are in your circle that you can lean on and get support from and talk through things and troubleshoot. Find your people, and that's what we're there for. That's what you have friends for in this industry. So lean on those people, find your people, and it's community over competition always in our book. It should be. And so we all struggle with stuff like this. So it's nothing new. So if you're feeling this way, don't be afraid to just ask for advice from other people. How do I get out of this rut? How do I do this? How do I do that? What's your best option for this or your best advice for that? Just ask the questions and have good intentions and be kind. And I think that you'll be just fine.
I think on that note, I don't even know if I've told you this yet. Maybe I did. I'm contemplating that we should start a Feast or Famine Facebook group.
Oh,
so
maybe.
That these conversations can take place in the Facebook group. And if people have other questions or just general input or questions or anything, they can just kind of
let us know what y'all think about that.
Post in there, and even if you don't, we might do it anyway.
Yeah. Let us know what y'all think. On that note, that's it for this week. How many notes we got?
Because we said on that note.
I know.
16 times.
On that note, I'm just kidding. All right, guys, we're going to go. Catch you later. Peace.